I've been overweight, skinny, strong, and now trying to get shredded. And most of what I did in each phase was wrong. Here's what finally worked and what I would never do again. In this video, I'm going to cover how I went from this picture with a huge dad gut to now when I'm looking my best. So what have I done? I've competed in all endurance events. So that's 5K races. I did 20 minutes. I did 10K races. Best time 43 minutes. I've done half marathons. I've done Ironman 70.3 in Calgary. I also qualified for Team Canada age group duathlon sprint during COVID. And more recently, I've been able to build up my strength. I've been able to bench over 310 pounds. And since then, I've been working on my shredded goal, where I've lost 30 pounds. All of that has been straight fat. In fact, my strength has increased across most exercises since dropping those 30 pounds. And that's why I wanted to start sharing my story over YouTube so you can follow along and see what I've done right and see what I've done wrong. So I've always been a sports kid. I played competitive soccer growing up. I won the cross country at my school. I played volleyball. I played basketball. I played badminton. I was super active as a kid. I was a sporty kid. And after school, I went into engineering, and that's when everything changed. I gained my freshman 15. I knew I wasn't where I should be. You can see the large dad gut I was rocking back then. I was sitting around 230, 240 pounds, and was not a muscular 240 pounds. And one random day, I decided to run 10 kilometers. I had a forced stop moment, not sure why. I just wanted to get out, prove to myself I could still do it. You know where I went. And guess what? When I woke up the next morning, it felt like a truck hit me. But you know what that did? It flipped a switch in my mind, and I knew I needed a change. From that moment on, I got hooked on endurance racing. I started competing in Spartan races. That's when I started in the 5Ks, the 10Ks, the half marathons, the duathlons, the triathlons, the Ironman 70.3s. I dropped all the weight and got really good at endurance. So where did that leave me? It left me as the tall 6'2" skinny dude who just does cardio. You can see I dropped a lot of weight through these pictures. And really the last two pictures, kind of show my abs and I'm wearing the Team Canada jersey. I didn't really look that bad. But you know what? I knew it wasn't sustainable. I kept getting sick. I kept getting run down, and I wasn't able to progress my training to the next level. I was struggling to get faster, stronger, go further. I was training hard. So what happened? COVID hit. Initially, my motivation skyrocketed and then plummeted. During that same time, workouts got intense, and we ended up moving cities. Through this, the weight kept creeping back up. Here's a series of pictures showing my weight steadily increasing back up, where I topped out at 242 pounds. And again, it wasn't a healthy 242 pounds. No cardio, no weightlifting, nothing. Then I took control of my schedule again, running my own engineering practice. This was able to free up a lot of time. Here's when I set a new goal. So I was the skinny cardio guy. I then wanted to go on to my next challenge, which was the strong guy. So I set a bench press goal that I've always wanted to achieve of benching over 300 pounds. This challenge was completely different than what I knew with cardio training. I had to learn programming in the gym. I had to learn how to recover properly in order to grow. And then I needed to figure out my nutrition. That was the biggest one. Over this 2-year period, I was fairly inconsistent. But last summer, I finally hit 310 pounds on the bench press. During this phase, I was all about protein, progressive overload. You meant maxing out efforts all the time. Well, shoot, I hit this goal. What's next? I was strong, but in the mirror, I didn't look how I wanted to. I didn't look like the people in the movies, the people in fitness magazines, the people I see at the gym. I looked big, but I wasn't jacked or shredded. So I shifted my goal again into body composition. And again, this was another different type of beast to learn. Over the last 10 months, I've dropped exactly 30 pounds, so averaging 3 pounds a month. You can see I now have all of the definition in the back that I've been wanting. I now have definition in my midsection. Plus, the biggest thing is my strength actually didn't drop. I was actually able to increase all of my exercises from my peak weight when I did that bench press, plus drop all of the fat. I'm closing in on the leanest I've ever been. Right now I'm sitting somewhere between that 13.5 to 15% range. With the way I've been measuring, be consistent. I started around 25% last summer. And with this phase, I'm targeting 12%. So I have another 7 pounds or so to reach that goal. And while I feel smaller than I used to, and it was a bit of a mind F during this process to get smaller, but I ended up feeling like I look better through this process. And you know how I know? It's because I get way more attention from the ladies. So what actually worked? Here's what actually made the difference this time. It was simple, repeatable systems, and consistency outweighed everything. First of all, nutrition. I stopped guessing. I made sure I hit a minimum protein every day. That was non-negotiable. I started controlling calories and focusing on consistent with nutrition over perfection. Secondly, strength training became a priority. I had to learn how to train in order to keep muscle during this 10-month deficit and figure out just what progressive overload was going to look like for me week to week. Third, I started doing cardio. What I started to do was focus on walking every day. I need 10,000 steps a day made a huge difference for me. It took away hunger cravings, it made me feel more active, and it started to take away some of my lower back pain. Or consistency. Nothing else matters without consistency. So I set up these systems in order to achieve my steps every day, my protein every day, minimum amount of strength workouts every week, and then set up calorie targets for me that work with my lifestyle so I could still enjoy going out, enjoy life, but didn't feel restricted. This last one goes unnoticed a lot of times, but recovery. In the beginning, I was super gung-ho, lots of workouts, lots of steps, lots of everything. And then I started to repeat the same failures I was doing cardio, overtraining, overdoing it, getting sick, getting injured. So I took a step back and tried to figure out, okay, what works for me in my body so I can recover fully before jumping into the next workout. So where did I screw up? I screwed up every phase of the process. And honestly, this is the part that matters the most, and I'll cover what I'd never do again. First one is relying on cardio only. So many people, including me back then, thought if you want to get skinny, do cardio. That is 100% not the case. If you don't have your nutrition dialed in, if you don't have some strength training in there, you're not going to get to a healthy skinny. Secondly, ignore nutrition. So in my 20s, I thought I still had the invincibility you get as a teenager. And what I found out was you cannot outtrain a bad diet, especially the older you get. I am 38 years old. Recovery is certainly slowing down. Another one is an all or nothing mindset. I've always been guilty of this through my life. I would go all in on something. I'm totally obsessed about it, and then burn myself out and then drop it cold.